Well, here we are 2 years later after the rise of Skywalker, and a lot of us are still wondering, what's next?
It's over. We are screwed.
Shut up! What is next for these characters? Is there a future for them? Because a lot of us are kind of left here in the dark. And so I'm gonna share with you an interesting article that dropped not too long ago. Kathleen Kennedy, this is from dorksideoftheforce.com, and I'm not 100% certain if this is the main original source, but speaking to Empire Magazine in its upcoming November 25th issue, so this is an old article, I guess. So Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy commented that the characters we got to know and love in the Star Wars sequel trilogy haven't disappeared from Lucasfilm's future plans. She stated, "Certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. What this means for characters like Rey, Finn, Poe, Ben Solo, nobody really has any idea. We keep getting little hints and teases here that, like, you know, there'll be something else for these characters in the future."
No, there'll be something. There'll be something that comes up.
It's worth keeping your hopes up for, because to launch a new trilogy is not a light task. To put a whole new trilogy into motion is a pretty big deal. If we're being honest, one of the biggest issues that we have with the sequel trilogy, I think a lot of us fans anyways, is that they didn't really plan it out very well. And the last film especially felt incredibly rushed. I'm okay waiting for something that may take a few years. If they want to put some filler in the meantime, if they want to build up to this new trilogy, that's totally fine with me. Just make sure it's done right. Initially, after the rise of Skywalker, it sounded like a lot of them weren't interested in being involved with anything to do with Disney or Lucasfilm. But since then, it seems like some of them have kind of walked back some of their comments. The circumstances have to be right. They have to make this appealing for them. They can't just say, well, you know, we feel like there's still a big appeal for these characters, when secretly they just want to make more money. And of course, I understand Disney wants to make money. That's the point. That's why any of these companies make movies, is to make money. That's understandable. I'm not against that. You have to make the experience worthwhile for your actors too. I haven't really given my full thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker in a while. My opinion has kind of evolved over time. I don't think the writing really championed a lot of these characters in the Rise of Skywalker. But again, I think that's been a problem in the whole sequel trilogy. I think there's a number of supporting characters that have been kind of pushed off to the side. Finn and Poe, even Rey, who's the main protagonist of the sequel trilogy. In my opinion, she hasn't always had the best writing, because for one thing, they made a big deal about her lineage, and then they kept changing it and kept changing it. So what does this mean for the future of Star Wars? I don't know. There's a lot of things moving right now. There's a lot of different gears turning for Star Wars. If you're like me, and you're especially attached to characters like Finn and Poe and Rey and Ben, you want to know that there's a future for them. And since the end of the Rise of Skywalker, there's been not a whole lot of mention of these characters. There hasn't been a whole lot of content made, you know, post Rise of Skywalker. I can kind of understand why they might be a little hesitant to pull the trigger on anything, because there was some pretty major backlash to the sequel trilogy, and some of it was warranted and some of it wasn't. I can understand if Disney wants to take these characters and do something really great with them in the future. And see, I think the mistake would be to like retcon all this and start with a brand new slate of characters and completely ignore all the previous ones. So, I mean, I would love to see new characters, don't get me wrong, but I still want like the sequel trilogy characters to come back, because I don't think there's anything wrong with the characters. It's just the writing. Some of the best performances I've seen in Star Wars have been in the sequels. You can dislike the characters, you can dislike the writing, but the actors really sold their characters for me, generally speaking. So I want to see more of that. I want to see what the full potential of these characters can be, and especially guys like Ben Solo, who barely got any screen time. And I know I've talked at length about him, so I'm not going to go down that road right now, but I digress. Who knows what the future holds for these characters? All I know is I want more of them, and I'm okay waiting. It's okay. They need to plan things out. That's okay. This tells me that there's still a desire for them. There's still some appeal for them. It is worth noting, though, every time these characters coming back, I always go back to this poll on StarWars.com talking about who do you want to see most in The Rise of Skywalker. Kylo Ren is overwhelmingly the most popular on this list. Rey is only at 5%, which is kind of sad because she's a protagonist, and you would think the protagonist might have a little bit more appeal, but... So there's definitely some desire to see these characters return. I think the biggest mistake would be for them to bring all these characters back except for him, because Kylo Ren is something special, and I'm not trying to put the other characters down, but clearly there's an appeal to him. Even people that hate the sequels that I've heard, some of these like big YouTubers too, a lot of them still really like Kylo Ren. There's something to that. So it's worth noting. I know I'm way behind this article. People have known about this article forever, but I'm just now getting caught up in a video about it. So, all right, guys, have a good day. We'll talk soon.
No, you're still holding on. Shut up about